Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. Today we will start new chapter in history and the name of the chapter is Women, Caste and Reforms. So here you must understand that in our society there was lack of equality in the pre-independence era. Even today, when our constitution gives us right to equality, the constitution says that there should not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of caste or gender or religion or place of birth or any criteria. There should not be any kind of discrimination among the people. Still we find that in reality inequality exists in our society even today. But here we are talking about the pre-independence era, the time before 1947, and during that period we find that there was a great high degree of inequality existing in the society, and in that society we will focus on two groups. The first group is of the women and the second group is of the people belonging to lower caste of the society. So we find that their condition was highly exploitative, deplorable. They were not given basic rights. They were not treated equally. And first of all, in this chapter we will be discussing their condition at that time, what condition was prevailing at that time among the women, among the lower caste people, and then we will see what was the demand of some people, some intellectual people who belong to India. They started demanding, they started mobilizing people against these inequalities. So what were their demand, how they mobilized the people, and then we will see what reforms were done with the help of the government only. Some laws were made, the laws which tried to end this kind of inequality in the society. So in this way the whole chapter will deal with these issues only. Okay, so first of all we will focus on the condition of women. Okay, our women, what we find, about 200 years ago the condition of the society was not similar as it exists today. Today we find that most of the girls from middle class families go to a school, and they study with boys also. You are also seeing in your school only all the girls and boys, everyone is equal. They are coming to a school and they are getting education, and after ending this study of school, many of the girls will go to colleges and university, and then they will take up jobs also. The women are doing jobs also outside their house. They are earning money, they are earning livelihood, and not only this, we see that nowadays you won't find that child marriages are occurring, the girls and the boys also, they must be adults before they are legally married, because if they are married before becoming adult, then that marriage will be illegal, because we have some laws regarding this, कि शादी के लिए आपकी मिनिमम एज क्या रिक्वायर्ड है, एटलीस्ट गर्ल्स को 18 ईयर्स होनी चाहिए, अगर 18 और बॉयज़ को 21। तो अगर इफ़ द मैरिज हैपन्स of a girl who is below 18 years of age, then that marriage will be illegal, है ना. And not only this, there is one more important point regarding marriage, because now anyone who is an adult can marry anyone they like, है ना. It is not necessary for any girl to marry only those people who are marry only those person who is from his caste or community. Legally she is not under any compulsion, but society is there. Because of society it happens कि mostly marriages are fixed, marriages happens in the same caste and community, but legally you are not bound to do that. Not only this, at present, in the current not present, it is happening for the very from the very from we can say after independence we are seeing all these changes. Now widows can remarry also. There is no restrictions, legal restrictions are not there. Widows can remarry, है ना. In the earlier times, in the pre-independence era, we find that the life of widows were very tough. They were not allowed to live a regular life, but nowadays all these things have changed. And not only this, the woman is also having right to vote. They can vote in the elections. Not only this, they can contest the elections also, because there is no restrictions on the basis of gender. Women will not contest the election, or women will not be having this right to vote. They are totally equal, है ना. So still, as I told you earlier also, though there are provisions for equality in our constitution, still in reality we find that the inequality exists. Many times women are not allowed to cast their vote by the family. Many times women are not allowed to, girls are not allowed to get education by the family. The constitution, the legal system of the country is not restricting them, but the family, the society restricts them. So that is another thing. हमारे सोसाइटी हमें रोक सकती है, बट हमारा जो लीगल सिस्टम है वो हमें नहीं रोकता है. दैट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. एंड दैट इज़ वाई मूवमेंट्स अकर, है ना. जब हमें जब लीगली हमें राइट है और सोसाइटी हमें नहीं करने देगा, तो फिर हम उसके लिए वी कैन फाइट बैक, है ना. तो दीज आर द थिंग्स. एंड ये आज की कंडीशन है, बट इफ़ वी सी व्हाट वाज द कंडीशन 200 years ago, we find that things were very different at that time. Most children were married off at an early age. Child marriage was existing, है ना. And not only this, there was another system in which we find that men could marry more than one wife. Not only in Muslims but also in Hindu. चाहे हिंदू हो चाहे मुस्लिम हो, जो मेल मेंबर्स हैं, they have this there was this tradition that men could marry more than one wife, which is called polygamy. So if one man is marrying more than one wife, so this is actually what this is responsible for the lower status of the women. They were not enjoying equality, है ना. The women were not allowed to marry more than one husband, but the men were allowed to marry more than one wife. So this kind of inequality was existing. This was causing uh, lower status of the women. They were considered to be inferior. Not only this, we find that in some parts of our country, widows they were praised if they chose death by burning themselves on the funeral pyre of their husband, which is called sati practice. You must be knowing. When the husband of any person, any wife is died, so what happened that the woman burned herself on the pyre of her husband, and these women were called sati, and these women were worshipped. है ना? So it is not कि the women who were becoming satis, they did this willingly. Many times it happened that the women were forced. They were forced to do so. उनको फोर्स किया जाता था कि आपको अपने हस्बैंड के साथ आपको भी मर जाना है. सो इट इज़ नॉट कि विलिंगली वो करती थी, है ना. सो वुमेन की जो कंडीशन थी वो हम वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड. दे वर नॉट अलाउड टू गेट एजुकेशन. In many parts of the country, it was believed that if a woman was educated, she would become a widow. अगर उसको पढ़ाया गया तो फिर वो विडो हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. एंड वुमेन वर नॉट हैविंग राइट टू प्रॉपर्टी एज वेल. एंसेस्ट्रल प्रॉपर्टी पर वुमेन का कोई भी राइट नहीं था, है ना. सो दिस वाज द condition. They were not getting any education. They were married off at an early age, and if they become widow, their life become hell. And many times they were forced to do this sati practice. And they were not having any ancestral right over the. They were not having any right over the ancestral property. So this condition was existing. And the second group about which we will be discussing in this chapter is about the caste. Because अगर हम देख रहे हैं gender wise, there was lack of inequality in our society, lack of equality in our society. In respect of caste also, inequality was existing in our country, है ना. As you have studied earlier also, the varna system. The society was divided into 4 varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudras. है ना. So in this system, as I told you earlier also, the system was hierarchical. Hierarchical मतलब क्या हुआ? Ladder like structure. सबसे नीचे Sudras, उसके ऊपर वैश्य, फिर क्षत्रिय, फिर ब्राह्मण. So Brahmins were considered as the most superior most, है ना. And both Brahman and Kshatriyas, they considered themselves as upper caste, है ना. और जो वैश्यास थी वो इन अपर कास्ट ब्राह्मण्स और क्षत्रियस के नीचे थे. और सबसे नीचे में जो आते थे वो शूद्रास आते थे. तो वैश्य में कौन आ रहे हैं? वैश्य में ऑफन ट्रेडर्स होते थे. ट्रेडर्स एंड मनी लेंडर्स, दे वर फॉर्मिंग दिस ग्रुप वैश्यास. एंड जो शूद्रास थे वो कौन थे? पेजेंट्स हो गए, आर्टिजन्स लाइक वीवर्स हैं, पॉटर्स हैं. दे आर कॉल्ड शूद्र, दे वर कॉल्ड शूद्रास, है ना. एंड और इन शूद्रास में भी डिवीज़न था. सबसे नीचे जो थे वो पीपल थे, दोज पीपल हु कीप सिटीज एंड विलेजेस क्लीन, है ना. और दोज पीपल हु वर्कड एट जॉब्स दैट अपर कास्ट कंसिडर्ड पॉल्यूटिंग, है ना. वो ऐसे काम करते थे, सफाई का जो काम करते थे, वो सबसे नीचे उनको माना जाता था. और अपर कास्ट के जो लोग थे, दे ट्रीटेड these groups, the people who were responsible for cleaning the cities and villages, these people were considered as untouchable. You have read about it earlier also, है ना? So these people were considered untouchable. They were not allowed to enter any public place like a temple, schools. They were not allowed to enter all these places. They were not allowed to draw water from the wells which were used by the upper caste. They were not allowed to use water of that particular घाट, नदी का जो घाट होता है उस पर जहाँ पर अपर कास्ट के लोग हैं वहाँ पर से वो नहीं पानी यूज़ कर सकते थे, है ना? They were not allowed to take bath in those ponds which where upper caste people took bath, है ना? So why this kind of treatment was given? Because they were considered to be inferior. Lower caste people, the people belonging to lower caste group, they were considered to be inferior, and these brahmanas and kshatriyas were considered to be superior. So they were not allowed to be to enjoy equal status, है ना? And even today we find there are this caste division is still existing in our country, but the condition which was there in the pre-independent era, that was highly objectionable, in which very bad treatment was given to lower caste people. But nowadays the things have changed, and people are behaving in a more we can say better manner. So things started to change, and from the early 19th century we find that debates and discussions about social customs and practices started to take place. And why things started to change, why we are saying that from the early 19th century changes started to occur, people started to discussing and debating all these social customs and practices. Why it all started from early 19th century only? There is reason behind it, and the reason is development of new forms of communication. Because communication is very much important if we want something to be changed. What is important? That first of all, that change there should be an understanding that something is wrong, and something is wrong and something needs to be corrected. When a single person starts thinking in this way, that person will communicate with others, and with his thoughts he or she will influence other person's thoughts also, and then a group of people will be created who will be of the opinion that there should be some change. Things are not correct, there is need of correction, there is need of change. So in this process, what you find, what is important, the first thing is that idea कि चीज़ें सही नहीं हो रही हैं, उनको बदलना होगा. First thing is important is idea, and then the second most important thing is how to spread this idea. जो एक आइडिया एक इंसान के दिमाग में है, उस आइडिया को कैसे स्प्रेड किया जाए, कैसे बाकी लोगों को भी उस आइडिया से अवेयर कराया जाए, बाकी लोगों को भी उस आइडिया को एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए कन्विंस कराया जाए. हाउ इट विल बी डन? इट विल बी डन थ्रू कम्युनिकेशन. है ना? सो दीज आर द टू इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग्स. एक आइडिया आपके पास होना, और दूसरी चीज़ एक ऐसा मीन्स होना. means of communication जिसके through you can spread this idea, you can get other people's also convinced about your idea. So this happened during that period. यही हुआ कि न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन स्टार्ट हुआ. पहली बार बुक्स, न्यूज़पेपर, मैगजीन, लीफलेट और पैम्फलेट्स वर स्टार्टेड टू बी प्रिंटेड. प्रिंटिंग की जो स्टार्टिंग हुई, ठीक है, प्रिंटिंग प्रेस. दिस ब्रॉट a lot of change in the society. This is very much responsible for bringing change in the society. It became a means, एक जरिया बन गया जिस जरिए की वजह से जो इस तरह के थॉट्स थे वो स्प्रेड होते गए. लाइक माइंडेड पीपल जो थे वो मिलते गए और उन्होंने अपनी आवाज़ को बुलंद करनी स्टार्ट किया. So this is all for today. We will continue with this discussion in the next class.